You know, COVID-19 is very much our reality. It's a global reality. It's a pandemic of such proportions. I think the reality for us in Ghana Rugby is that we always try and look. We understand that we are one of the lesser known sports, although we've been massively successful. But we understand that sports is big business. I mean, that's the way that we've always looked at sports. And for those of you who've followed some of our movements over the last 20 years, you'll understand that's how the approach we've taken with football and everything else. Understanding that rugby is a sport where it's even more difficult to raise money. Football is pretty straightforward. We had to plan in advance. We had to be aware of the fact that come late January, we needed to move very quickly with everything that we're doing, because the world is about cash flow. If you didn't manage your situation in anticipation of COVID-19, which many sports did not, then you end up with a situation where there are lockdowns, and yet it is you still got commitments to your sponsors. TV, other sponsors demand their pound of flesh. So with rugby, what we did is that we rushed our league through. By beginning of March, we had finished our league. We declared our winners. We'd handed out medals, given out trophies, etc., etc. And therefore, the cash flow issue for Ghana Rugby was not as large as for others. We did not have to answer back to sponsors in quite the same way. But what we found that we've had to do is to manage the relationships, which is what we've tried to do. We've tried to manage the relationships with those excellent supporters that we've had over the period. Interplast in particular have been very good and very helpful to Ghana Rugby, as have Sunda, have Keda, have Twyford. That group has also been particularly good, as have GB Foods and so forth. Society Generale, Pan-African. We managed to harness some support over a period which we are hoping to expand and get a greater base for this year. So COVID-19 has really provided a little bit of an issue for us in terms of how we manage our sport here in Ghana. But we continue. We're having our meetings, our board meetings. We, like others, are using Zoom and other means to communicate and to have meetings. We have disciplinary meetings going on, and we are planning for the future. How we then look at sports going forward. How do we appeal to the sport from a sponsor's viewpoint and that kind of thing? We have to think out of the box going on, knowing that there is no set date for us to be able to resume the sport that we love. I think that we've been very lucky in terms of our relationship with government to a great extent. The recognition by His Excellency at the beginning of February for our 4 trophies was a huge morale booster. And we've been encouraging people to train at home, to do the physical side of it, which is not the same as playing the game itself. And we understand that a lot of people involved in the game are suffering hardship, like is most of the nation. Clubs are being encouraged to reach out and to support their players. And the board itself is out there trying to support board members to be able to support their own. We can only plan. And I think if there is a fund that comes available for all sports, not just football, for all sports, then we'll be quick to try and pass that down to others. What we've been trying to do at the same time is encourage new skills and practices. So at the bottom line, people like myself have learned to cut my own hair. We've got others who are doing online courses. Africa Rugby has got online courses for referees and coaches. We've had our staff members involved in that at the same time. We're encouraging some in the building to learn how to drive. We're encouraging others to take up languages. We have one that's very good in French. We have a young lady who's retaking her maths. So we're helping with that. And over the next 30 days, the board members themselves will be getting involved with online management courses to improve self. I think if funds do come available, we're putting a lot in that direction at the same time. Improve skill set, improve the ability to better manage the sport and other sports as well, and prepare for themselves for a future after rugby. tough times, but we have to, again, live best practices. We've launched face masks, we've done other things to contribute to society and to show that we care. And hopefully that our members are also pushing that very strongly. Thank you.